The village of Amuka had never seen a celebration as grand as Nkiru's wedding. The entire village square was transformed into a festival ground, alive with the sound of drumming, singing, and the joyous ululations of women dressed in brightly colored wrappers. The air was thick with the aroma of roasted goat meat, spicy jollof rice, and freshly tapped palm wine. It was a day of merriment, one that would be remembered for generations to come. Nkiru, the bride, stood in the center of it all, her skin glowing in the afternoon sun. Her coral beads clinked softly as she moved, and the golden anklets on her feet jingled with each step. She had never felt more beautiful, more alive. Today, she was becoming a wife. Her husband, Obinna, was a tall and handsome man with the build of a warrior. He was known for his wisdom and his generosity. A successful yam farmer, he had inherited acres of fertile land from his late father and was well respected among his peers. He had chosen Nkiru not just for her beauty, but for her intelligence and kind heart. Together, they were the perfect couple. As the guests presented their gifts, bolts of expensive fabric, handcrafted jewelry, baskets of yams, and jars of honey, Nkiru's aunt, Mama Ngozi, stepped forward, clutching a gift wrapped in white cloth. "This is my special gift to you," she said, her voice smooth and sweet, yet carrying an undercurrent of something unreadable. She handed the package to Nkiru, who smiled warmly. "Thank you, Auntie," Nkiru said, unwrapping the gift. Beneath the cloth lay a large clay cooking pot, intricately designed with traditional carvings that told the stories of their ancestors. "It is a cooking pot blessed by our forefathers," Mama Ngozi continued, placing a hand on Nkiru's shoulder. "Cook all your meals in it, and your home will be filled with peace and abundance." The crowd murmured in admiration. It was a rare and valuable gift. But unknown to everyone present, beneath the beautiful carvings lay a darkness that no one could see. Mama Ngozi had spent the previous night in the deepest part of the forest, in the hut of a feared sorceress. There, she had whispered her request. Her niece must never bear a child. She had poured palm oil and gold dust into the hands of the sorceress, and in return, the pot had been cursed. The moment food was cooked in it, the curse would take root in the womb of the one who ate from it. It was revenge, long overdue. Nkiru's mother had married the man Mama Ngozi had loved. She had stolen her happiness, and now Mama Ngozi would steal her daughter's future. As the celebration continued, the pot sat among the gifts, silent and waiting. A few days after the wedding, Nkiru's cousin, Amarachi, arrived to visit the new bride. She had always looked up to Nkiru, and now that she was married, Amarachi wanted to hear all about the experience. They sat together in the kitchen, peeling cassava and chatting about the wedding. "I still cannot believe you are now a married woman," Amarachi teased. "Tell me, does it feel different?" Nkiru laughed. "Not really. Obinna is kind. He helps around the house when he can. But marriage is a lot of work." As they talked, Amarachi's eyes wandered around the kitchen and landed on the beautifully carved pot. "This is beautiful. Who gave it to you?" she asked, running her fingers along its surface. "Oh, Auntie Ngozi," Nkiru replied. "She said it is a special pot. I haven't used it yet. I have so many new ones." Amarachi's eyes lit up. "If you are not using it, can I take it?" Nkiru shrugged. "Of course. Take it." Amarachi hugged her cousin excitedly, picked up the pot, and carried it home. She had no idea she was carrying a curse with her. That night, Amarachi prepared a meal for her husband using the pot. The fire crackled beneath it as steam rose from the bubbling stew. The aroma filled the small hut, making her husband eager to eat. They sat together, enjoying their meal, laughing about their day. But as they swallowed their first bites, an invisible shadow passed through the room. The curse had been activated. Amarachi slept soundly that night, unaware that her fate had been rewritten. Months passed, and Amarachi's womb remained empty. At first, she thought nothing of it. After all, it sometimes took time for a woman to conceive. But when 1 year passed, and then 2, she began to worry. The whispers in the village started. "Is it possible she is barren?" people asked. Her mother had many children. What went wrong? Her husband, at first understanding, grew frustrated. "Maybe you should visit a healer," he suggested. Amarachi did. She visited herbalists, spiritualists, even the priests in the biggest shrines. Each one told her the same thing: there was no reason she should not conceive. Yet, her belly remained flat. One evening, while walking through the market, Amarachi overheard 2 women talking. "Nkiru is so lucky. She has 2 children already." The frustration weighed heavily on her, but an old woman approached her in the market. "You carry a burden that is not yours," the woman said in a raspy voice. Amarachi frowned. "What do you mean?" "There is one who sees beyond the eyes of man. Go to the edge of the forest, where the red earth meets the river. There you will find him." That night, Amarachi followed the woman's words and found herself deep in the forest. An ancient hut stood by the riverbank, its walls covered in strange symbols. Inside sat a seer, his eyes milky white with wisdom. "Why have you come?" he asked. "I want to know why I cannot have a child," Amarachi whispered. The seer touched the ground, murmuring words in a forgotten language. Then he looked up, his face dark with sorrow. "You have been cursed." Amarachi gasped. "Cursed? By who?" "The one who gave you the pot." Amarachi's blood ran cold. "The pot. Nkiru's wedding gift." "The curse was not meant for you," the seer continued. "It was meant for another, but fate redirected it to you." Tears welled in Amarachi's eyes as she realized the truth. Mama Ngozi had cursed Nkiru, but she had unknowingly saved her cousin by taking the pot. "What must I do?" Amarachi asked. "The one who cast the curse must be confronted. Only then will the gods decide justice." Desperate for answers, Amarachi sought out the oldest seer in the village, Dibia Aikna. The old man examined her carefully before speaking. "The curse does not belong to you. It was meant for another, but fate brought it to your doorstep." Amarachi's hands trembled. "Who did this?" Dibia Ikenga's voice dropped to a whisper. "The one who gifted the pot." Rage filled Amarachi's heart. She stormed into Mama Ngozi's compound, holding the cursed pot in her hands. The older woman, frail but still sharp, looked up in shock. "This was meant for Nkiru, wasn't it?" Amarachi's voice was ice-cold. Mama Ngozi's face went pale. I don't know what you're talking about." "You cursed me, your own blood. You wanted Nkiru to suffer, but the gods chose me instead." Tears streamed down Amarachi's face, but Mama Ngozi had none to shed. The curse had found its way back to her. The gods had played a cruel trick on her, and now she would live to see the consequences of her own evil. The villagers gathered, whispering in horror. Mama Ngozi had been unmasked as a wicked woman, and from that day on, she lived in isolation, tormented by the cries of the children Amarachi would never have. As for the cursed pot, it was taken to the village square, smashed into pieces, and burned. But the lesson remained: evil, no matter how carefully planned, always finds its way home.